We're going to go over the 3 dumbest mistakes that people make with an LLC that breaks the asset protection and allows creditors in lawsuits to come after your personal assets like your family home, investment accounts, and cash accounts. And so when you set up an LLC, you're trying to set up asset protection from any liabilities that happen within that LLC. So if you have a rental portfolio or a business that has creditors or lawsuits coming after it, it isolates those liabilities to the LLC and protects your personal assets like your family home, investments, rental properties, cash accounts, etc. When you are commingling assets or money in between your personal life and the LLC, you're breaking that asset protection and allowing creditors and lawsuits to come after you. And so the 3 worst mistakes that people make, which are the most common that we see people making, that breaks the asset protection is 1, you're using money inside of your LLC to pay for your personal expenses. Even if you are paying these back, you're still breaking the asset protection and you can become personally liable for any of those liabilities happening with the LLC. The second one is you are not protecting your LLC from any of your personal lawsuits or creditors. So the LLC protects you from liabilities happening within the LLC, but the LLC is not protected from any liabilities happening in your personal life. And so your lawsuits and your creditors can come after the ownership of your LLC. The third one is going to be people making fraudulent transfers or distributions when they are insolvent for their LLC. And so that can also break the asset protection and make you personally liable for paying off the judgments for lawsuits or creditors that you owe obligations to inside of an LLC. And so with the using money inside of the LLC to pay for personal expenses, a good example is a lot of people are working inside of an office inside of their home. So they're running their business out of an office inside their home, and they think, okay, well, since this is a mixed use situation, I can use money inside of the LLC to pay for the mortgage on my property, and I can just pay back the LLC for making that mortgage payment on my behalf. It's kind of a gray area. But the problem is you primarily use that home for your personal use. And so when you use money inside of your LLC to make a payment on a personal use property, even though it is mixed use, it can break that asset protection because it's for personal use. Even if you are putting money back into it, it's still breaking that asset protection. And so if you're using money inside of your LLC to pay for things like your mortgage, your cars, your credit cards, vacations, whatever it might be inside of your personal life, even if you are paying it back off, you're still breaking the asset protection. A way to make sure you're not breaking this asset protection is to open up a business account for the LLC, put the money from the operations inside of that business account, and then only use the money inside of that business account for operation expenses. Do not pull it out and use it to pay off your personal cards, your mortgage, your cars, whatever it might be that you have in your personal life, even if you are willing to pay it back to the LLC. And so another thing to think about here is a lot of people will put money inside of an LLC and pay themselves back out of it, and that can also be considered commingling and break that asset protection. So a way to get around this is to one of 2 things. You can give a loan to your LLC or do a capital contribution to your LLC. With a loan, you need to make sure that you are properly documenting the terms of that loan with the LLC. So it'd be the loan amount, the repayment terms like your interest rate, the monthly payments, and the timeline for payback. And so you need to properly document the agreement you have with the LLC and do proper accounting on both sides so that you're keeping up with all of those numbers. And if anyone ever comes and checks up on things, you have proper documentation. For the capital contribution, it basically just means that you're giving money to the LLC without ever having an expectation of getting that money back. Also with that, you need to make sure you're properly documenting the agreement between you and the LLC and the accounting as well. And so the second thing we're going to talk about is not giving your LLC asset protection. So when you have a lawsuit or creditors coming after you as an individual, they're coming after the assets you hold in your personal name. When you hold the LLC membership in your personal name, it's an asset that's accessible to those liabilities, and they can come after the ownership of that LLC. And so the 2 ways that they can come after the LLC is 1, they could do a charging order, which means they can garnish distributions from that LLC. And then if the courts decide that you're not going to be able to pay back the judgment for that lawsuit or the obligations to that creditor in a meaningful amount of time, they can foreclose on your LLC membership, give them that LLC membership, and they'll take over it. And then they would take over the voting rights. They can remove you as the manager, and they can liquidate the assets inside the LLC to satisfy the debts or the judgments that they have against you. And so a way that you can have asset protection for the LLC from you is to put the LLC membership inside of an irrevocable trust. And when you put the LLC membership inside of an irrevocable trust, you're fully separating it from your name and your estate, because when you put it inside of the irrevocable trust, you're filing the LLC membership on that trust tax return. It's no longer being filed on your personal tax returns. Therefore, it's fully separated from your estate. You cannot be the trustee, you cannot be the beneficiary, so you have no control or benefit over that LLC membership. And now it's fully protected from any lawsuits or creditors coming after you as an individual. If you don't want to do the irrevocable trust, another layer that you could put in place is a multi-member LLC. So if you have a single member LLC, in some states they're able to do a charging order and garnish the distributions and foreclose on your LLC membership. If it's a multi-member LLC, they typically cannot foreclose on the LLC membership, but they can still do the charging orders and garnish those distributions. So it's a little bit less of protection, but you still get protections with it. And then the third thing is going to be making fraudulent transfers or distributions of money out to yourself when you are insolvent. And so this basically covers two situations. One, you have obligations to creditors or vendors that you are unable to make payments for, or you have a lawsuit coming after the LLC. In either one of those instances, when you know you need to be making payments to those individuals or those creditors, and you're pulling that money out for yourself and you cannot make payments for those liabilities, you are considered defrauding creditors and you're breaking the asset protection with that LLC. And then when you do that, those creditors are able to come after your personal assets to satisfy the obligations that you have to them. So they can come after your family home, the investment accounts you have, or any cash accounts you have, and wipe out everything that you own to satisfy those obligations. So a way that you can get around this is, one, make sure that you have a separate business account that is fully separated from you. You are not pulling out money when you know you have obligations that you cannot meet. If you are unsure, you can keep a cash cushion, hire an accountant so you know your numbers, or not pull any money out in general. That way you are fully protected. If you want help setting up asset protection for your business, click link in the bio, fill out the form, and schedule a time to talk to someone on our team.